Right, so first topic we have discussed about is the Global Terrorism Index that was released for this year 2026. Right, so what do we have? Global Terrorism Index released by, from prelims perspective, the institution or organization that releases is this one, Institute for Economics and Peace, and this particular organization is, where is it located? That is Sydney. Sydney, that is in the southern part of Australia as such. So this particular report overall covers 163 countries. It overall analyzes in last 1 year how many terror incidents, terror related deaths, casualties and all that we have seen, and overall apart from that also it measures the impact of terrorism. So to what extent countries were impacted, how many terror incidents they have seen, and what has been the general impact of terrorism on those countries, and based on that it is ranking those countries. So that is what Global Terror Index is. Now though it is the index, that is released by which organization? Institute for Economic and Peace. This organization depends upon other institute, that is called as Dragonfly. So Dragonfly is used by IEP for the data collection. IEP does not directly collect data about the terror incident. It depends upon Dragonfly Terrorism Tracker. Dragonfly Terrorism Tracker is tracking every terror incident. It has a large scale, we can say, databases. So since 2007 actually, since January 2007, whatever terror incidents we have seen reported in any of the countries, it keeps database of that, and depending on that GTI is basically preparing the ranking. Record since January 2007. Parameters are, 4 parameters they are using here. The first is for last year, like if 2026, that means they are publishing data related to terror incidents of which year? 2025 as such. So in year 2025, for any particular country, how many number of or how many terror incidents we have seen, then terror incidents has resulted in how many fatalities, how many people have died or lost their life as a result of terror incident, then how many people were injured due to terror incident, and last is that many times terrorists also take hostages. So how many hostages were taken as a result of terror activities, for example hijacking of aircraft and all we can say, and then it compares it to the 5-year weighted average, and based on that it is ranking them. That is a general methodology as such. Now if you look at this particular report, what we see is that Pakistan is ranked 1. Pakistan is ranked 1 means what we can say, in the entire 163 countries it is ranking, Pakistan is the most affected country as far as terrorism is concerned. If you look at India, it has been ranked at 13 most affected countries from the terror incident, and score wise total 6.428, that is the score that is given to India on the 0 to 10 weighted average that we have. So these are the countries that are affected. Pakistan is most affected or worst affected countries. If question is asked that which terror organization is the deadliest group which is responsible for majority of the global terror incidents, so the answer would be IS, that is Islamic State. Islamic State, earlier it was also referred as ISIS, or it was then renamed as ISIL. Now it is simply called as Islamic State. Why? Because now they are no longer regional. Earlier they were called as ISIS because they were restricted to regions such as Iraq and Syria. So Islamic State of Iraq and Syria, or later on Iraq and Levant, entire Mediterranean region. Now they have expanded their scope of operations and are attacking many countries. Even in Philippines you have attack from IS, Thailand you have attack from IS. That's why we are simply referring them as Islamic State. So these have turned out to the deadliest terror group in the world today. Now overall, the result can also be understood by looking at this map which this particular index has published. So basically if you look at the world map, countries are painted in different color. The color which is darker, like red, dark red. Okay, so here you can see which country was at top rank, Pakistan. So it is most dark. India is at 13th rank. Country which is in lighter color like yellow or shades of yellow, they are least affected as such. So if you talk about Canada, for example, Mexico we can take, or China, Nepal, Australia, these countries are having very low impact from terrorism as such. Plus you also have these countries, these are lighter color, but these refer to such color which are not included in the terror incidents. So one is Pakistan. Apart from that, the major area we'll see is this region. Okay. In the Africa, many of the countries in Africa are what? Shaded in dark. That means they are significantly impacted by the incidents of terrorism itself. So this gives you idea about this. Now, regional basis, if you talk about different region, as per this particular report, it is seen that there is a region called as Sahel in Africa. This is shaded here. So this upper part, if you go, what would you find here? Sahara Desert as such. So Sahara Desert, and to the south of Sahara Desert, this is the region that is called as Sahel region. So many countries we can say is a part of Sahel region, like Mali, right, Niger, Chad, Sudan, okay, Mauritania you have here, Senegal. So these region itself were responsible for over 50% of global terrorism death as such. Okay, that means if 500 people are dying in the entire world due to terror related incident, 250, even more than 250 of them are dying in which region only? Sahel region. So country wise, which is the worst affected country? Pakistan. Region wise, which is the worst affected region? Then answer would be the Sahel region of the African continent. Sub-Saharan also, because in the upper part you have Sahara. So Sahel also is referred by what other region? Sorry, what other name? Referred as Sub-Sahara region. So Sahel region or Sub-Saharan Africa, this remains the epicenter. Okay, epicenter term we use in the case of earthquake, where the damage is maximum. So as far as the earthquake is concerned, as far as the terrorism is concerned, epicenter of terrorism can be said to be located in the Sahel region. Deaths declined in 10 countries, okay, in this region, but overall in 4 countries have increased. If you compare from the 2025 report, Sahel region was worst affected there also. The total 14 countries are in Sahel region. In this year, what we have seen, number of deaths in 10 countries have declined, but at the same time, number of deaths in 4 countries have increased as such. And that's why overall, they still maintain their dominance in the terms of terror effect. Now, key finding, again, if you highlight, 70% death in Pakistan and Burkina Faso. You talk about terror-related incident. And apart from that, Pakistan separately, because if you consider this is separate. Burkina Faso, Nigeria, Niger and DR Congo. All these countries are which region? These countries are of Sahel region. So what we have seen, 50% in Sahel plus about 20% death in Pakistan. So over 70% of death, terror-related death is seen in these region itself. Largest increase in terror-related death we have seen in which countries? The answer would be Nigeria and Democratic Republic of Congo as such. Terrorism overall, based on this entire report, what we can say, there is no widespread or global widespread terrorism, but rather it is concentrated in some specific region as such. Okay, so Pakistan, Sub-Saharan Africa, these 2 regions we can highlight. That is the first topic. Second is the cotton sector. Some news was related to cotton sector in India. So cotton is referred as a major commercial crop in India, right? And cotton is not only a crop that supports agriculture, it also is linked with the textile. In location factor, we have discussed the cotton textile industry. So cotton textile, and also it has a humongous share as far as India's export to the Western countries such as US, UK, European Union is concerned. Overall, whatever fiber is produced in the world, 23% of it is which fiber? Cotton fiber alone. So very important. Now, because many farmers are involved here, so overall it is said to support 6 million farmers and employs 40 to 50 million people in India as such. So that is how we can understand the significance of cotton, right? Because it is very humongous, this number. And in cotton textile industry, I told you that it is an example of which kind of industry? So it is called as labor intensive industry. So that's why it is supporting and employing large number of people. 35% of production cost of textile is labor cost itself. Cotton and India's development, if you look, so it has been always a major source of foreign exchange for India. Why foreign exchange? Because we have seen cotton textile is exported in large volume from India. Backbone of entire textile value chain. Apart from cotton, we also produce jute textile, for example, silk textile. But demand of cotton is highest. Jute textile we have seen demand decline because what was developed as an alternative? Plastic is used. Similarly, silk is not used too much outside of India, right? Or whenever it is used, silk also is being largely manufactured by which country? China. 70% of global silk is produced by China. So there we do not have a lot of leverage as such. But in cotton textile, we produce a huge volume of cotton, and also we are able to produce it at relatively cheaper cost, lower cost. That's why backbone of entire textile value chain. That's why we're calling it linking agriculture with industry, industry with what? With the trade as such. So all the three sectors, right? Agriculture is example of a sector, primary sector. Industry example of what? Secondary sector. Trade, what you have is tertiary sector. So cotton we can say is basically linked with and is important for all the three sector. Now government also understand the importance and significance. That's why it has provided a lot of this incentive for the producers or farmers to produce it. Like cotton also is included as a crop over which minimum support prices is determined by government. Okay, CSE would have studied about in economic commission of agriculture and the cost of prices. So mission for cotton productivity we have launched, and Kasturi Cotton Bharat. This is the most recent scheme that the government has launched most recently. Kasturi Cotton. Kasturi Cotton, it is a kind of marking India's cotton. Right. Marking is for what purpose? For quality purpose. Okay, that means the cotton that is produced in India, if it is marked with this particular Kasturi cotton mark, it means people who are buying it, they would be sure that this is best quality of cotton, good quality of cotton. So overall, it is a way how we can increase the global demand of India's cotton as such. Now, some important interesting fact about cotton in India, if you look, so total we grow 4 different species of cotton in India, and interestingly, India is the only country, right, in the entire world. If you compare all the countries where cotton is produced, India is the only country where 4 different type of cotton is grown. In most of countries, 1 or 2 variant is seen here. Name of these variants, it is given here simply to understand. So Arboreum, Herbaceum, okay, Asian cotton it is called as Barbadinese, that is Egyptian cotton, and Hirsutum, okay, that is the American upland cotton as such. In this 4, which is produced in largest amount? So if this is not very important, this you can keep in mind. In India, which is the largest variant of crop cotton we grow? It is American upland cotton as such, okay, largest amount. And this is hybrid cotton. All of these 4 are hybrid cotton. Hybrid means also we can call it as what? BT, okay, Bacillus thuringiensis. Okay. So it was introduced in 2002. Why it was introduced? Because it is resistant to a pest that affects the cotton plants, which is referred as bollworms. To save our cotton plant against the bollworm infestation, we then introduced BT cotton, which is poisonous to them. That's why they do not attack it. And also the other advantage is because of the introduction of BT cotton, higher yields and lower insecticide use can be reported. Earlier, if you do not have this cotton, you want to protect plant against the bollworm, what we have to do? Spread insecticide. So that would also reduce the demand, global demand. So that is the basic fact. Apart from that, cotton, okay, the same thing you can look here on the map, is produced in which areas? So we know that region wise, if you look, which areas? This area highest because this is near to Deccan Plateau. What kind of soil would you find here? Black soil. So black soil. So state wise, if you talk about which states will come here? Karnataka. Then what do you have? Maharashtra. Then Madhya Pradesh. Okay, then Gujarat. Part of Rajasthan. And then part of Punjab and Haryana as well, especially around the Satluj River Valley as such. So that is region wise. Apart from that, you talk about the states. Many states of India currently produces cotton. So you can see, except the northern and eastern states, what you can say? General, western state, central state and southern states. Most of them are involved in some amount of cotton production here. So you start from Punjab, Haryana, Rajasthan, Gujarat, MP, Maharashtra, Karnataka, okay, part of Tamil Nadu, Andhra Pradesh, Telangana, and as far as Odisha as such. These are states that is in the Himalayan belt. If you have to remember, easy to remember. Which area do not produce cotton? Himalayan belt do not produce cotton, and the region where Ganga river is flowing. So basically what do you have? UP, Bihar and West Bengal as such. So a large area, okay, where cotton cultivation can be seen as such. Now what we can also understand, so important fact about India's cotton global standard. So if you compare all the countries in the world, India has largest area under cotton cultivation. Okay, India has rank 1 as far as cotton cultivation is concerned. 38% of global cotton area. And that means if 100 acres is the total area where cotton is produced in the entire world, 38% lies in India. World total is 304 lakh hectares. It is rank 2 in production as well as consumption. Okay, rank 1 in the area under cultivation, rank 2 in production and consumption, and the values are given here. So if you compare 2 year 24-25, 297.24 lakh bales. Okay, bale is a unit in which cotton, we can say quantity of cotton is measured. To simply understand one bale is roughly equal to, in India, if you measure one bale is equal to how many kilogram? 170 kilogram as such. So such 170 kilogram of 297 lakh bales we have produced. This year 290.91, this is provisional. Star means provisional. The full data still has to come. Consumption wise, if you look, what we can say, consumption is higher than production. If consumption is higher than production, it is obvious we also are what, engaged in import of cotton from the other countries. So backbone of textile industry, all textile if you compare, cotton definitely is the backbone as such. Now India also is the major exporter of cotton. So question is that where do most of our exports go to? Major countries where we are sending our cotton. So the largest is the 26.35% of share, United States of America. That's why when tariff was imposed, okay, on India, which sector had to suffer maximum losses? It was cotton textile, okay, because we have large scale export here. Second number, we export cotton to neighboring state or country of Bangladesh. Third is Sri Lanka, very low share. Then we have UK, and then we have United Arab Emirates as such. So important from this year, because cotton textile industry was continuously in news related to the Donald Trump's tariff imposition. So top 5 countries where we export cotton: US, Bangladesh, Sri Lanka, UK and United Arab Emirates. Now when you are writing examination next year, make sure that you look at the updated figure, because every year what will happen, some changes might be seen here and there. So such kind of information you can get easily from which what do you have, report, economic survey, okay, every year some agriculture related information will get. Next is flood. Okay, flood means flood in Assam Valley. That's where we have to concentrate. Recently, yesterday also it was news, almost 65 people have lost their life due to the devastating flood in Assam. This already we have covered in the static part. Flood in Assam is the result of which river? We have the Brahmaputra river. So in Tibet, as we know, it is referred by what name? Shangpo. Shangpo. Then in Arunachal Pradesh, it enters where it is referred by the name of Siang. Then here it is called as Brahmaputra, and in Bangladesh it is known by the name of Jamuna, right? That we have seen. So basically the plain area is here in the entire Assam. In the class I told you that it stretches all the way from Sadia in the east to Dhubri in the west. So this is the plain of Assam, and that's where the maximum damage because of flood is seen. So Assam's worst flood every year almost happens in the Assam plain, but this year is unique because it is believed to be the worst flood that the state has suffered from. If you compare the last 60 years, over 8 lakh people were affected this year, and this is the old figure. The yesterday's figure itself says that how many deaths were reported? Total 65 deaths as such. So this kind of devastation, damage to the economy, infrastructure, ecosystem creates a need for climate resilient infrastructure, and also to save the life. What we can focus upon? Better flood forecasting. So early warning can be issued to the people in this area, and they can be evacuated before time as such. Now the question is, from geographical perspective, why Assam is flood prone? So the biggest reason is that over 50 tributaries of which river? Brahmaputra river and Barak river flow through it. And you have a basin. Okay, this is a structure we have drawn in class, like Assam plain if you look. Assam plain is not a plain like Ganga and the Yamuna plain. So this side it is surrounded by Great Himalayas in the north. In the southern side it is surrounded by Purvanchal mountain. So though it is a plain, it still has which kind of structure? Geological structure? Valley. So if it has valley like a structure, water does not have a lot of space where it can spread out. Okay. So whenever you have significant increase in water volume, what will happen? Water will start to flood the valley very fast as such. Okay. It will flow over a area and will submerge towns, hills and this villages and all that. And apart from this, first of all, you have the longest river. You compare every river you have studied, which is the longest river. So Brahmaputra, okay, we can say about 3,180 kilometers as such. And Barak river also is there in Mizoram, Manipur. They also are large river. And many tributaries, 10-12 tributaries we have drawn in the class itself. Okay, they are meeting this river. And what makes situation worse? If in the monsoon season, what we experience? Heavy amount of rainfall. So due to heavy amount of rainfall, suddenly what would you see? Water volume will increase as such. That is one reason. Apart from that, these rivers, Brahmaputra river, Barak river, they have very high sediment load. High sediment load means we know that they are responsible for large scale erosion. Because of erosion and because they are coming from very high elevation, okay, 3,000, 4,000 meters as such, because of erosion, they carry humongous amount of sediments with themselves. So high sediment load. Because of high sediment load, what happens is that if suppose this is a channel of the river, right, and up to here in normal time, this is where the river water is flowing through in channel. So the bank areas are relatively safe. Okay, no water is flowing here. If river is carrying large volume of sediment, what would it do? So it would deposit sediment gradually where? On the bed of the river. So as more and more sediment accumulate, okay, this accumulation of sediment that happens on river bed, a term, geographical term used for it is called as aggradation, right? So river, we can say river engages in aggradation. What is aggradation? We can say sediment. It is aggradation is sediment deposit or deposition. Sediment deposition on river bed. Okay, river bed. So now you can imagine more and more sediment is being deposited here. Gradually, it means what is happening due to sediment deposition. Whatever was the depth of what? Depth of river channel. That depth is reducing. So early river was carrying suppose 100 liters of water. Now it will only carry how much? 40-50 liters of water. And due to large number of tributaries, due to heavy rainfall, still river is bringing how much amount of water? 100 liter of water. It cannot be accommodated anymore in the channel. That means where would water go? Above the channel. Yeah, simple. So that's why, because of the high sediment load, because of continuous aggradation, reduction in the channel depth, what you can say, the flood is seen. Apart from that, river bank erosion also, because if water is flowing at high velocity, especially if it is coming from high altitude area, erosion will take place. This erosion will further contribute to the sediment build up along the river channel as such. And if you look at the state of Assam itself, the Assam plain, 39.58, simply we can remember about how much? 40%. 40% of entire Assam plain area can be considered as what? Flood prone region as such. So this is because of these 3-4 important factors. Apart from that, yeah, same thing we have discussed. River bed aggradation is topic, intense monsoon rainfall. Now a few other factors we have seem to be highlighted these days. One is the GLOF. GLOF we have discussed I think before in the current affairs also, referred as glacial lake. Glacial lake outburst flow. So in the Himalayan region, many glacial lakes are there. If heavy rainfall happens or glacier retreat or melt at a rapid rate, in these lakes suddenly water volume increases. The water then apply pressure and all the sediments that are kind of holding the water, they collapse. When they collapse, the entire water is flowing at very fast rate and they can be added again where? To the river itself. Sudden increase in volume. Deforestation also is responsible, because if you cut the forest, soil is easier to basically what I can say, this erosion of soil will be easier as such, and that's why what will happen, all of this will go and fall where? In the river itself, right? Like for example, hills you have. If in the hills you have dense forest, right, heavy rainfall is going on, so the roots of the trees hold the soil on the surface. Even if heavy rainfall is going on, the water will not carry a lot of sediment along with itself. You remove the entire forest and now even small amount of rainfall will easily cause all the soil, debris, rock particles to flow. And here you have the river. So where will they accumulate? In the river. So they will cause obstruction in the path of the river. They will increase the sediment volume in the river. And also floodplain encroachment we are witnessing, where what is going on? You have construction, illegal construction of houses, restaurants, okay, resorts and all being constructed. So during the flood time, river does not have a lot of space where it can flow through. And the last is the dam mismanagement. Many times the release of water from the dam is not done in a proper manner. So suddenly water volume increases and the water is the gate of the dams are opened and that submerges the low-lying area as such. This is also being seen in the Assam. Earlier only the plain village areas were prone to flood. Now the flood is also extending to which areas? City. Okay, so this year itself, we talk about this this year flood. So one of the major city of Assam called as Sivsagar, it has been heavily impacted. What is the reason behind the flooding extended in the urban areas? So again, unplanned urbanization. We are encroaching upon the lake areas, we are encroaching upon the wetland areas and all that. So generally the water that should have been stored in the lakes, in the wetlands due to heavy rainfall, now there is no place for them to store. So what will happen? They will overflow. When they overflow, what would they cause? Urban flooding as such. Poor storm water drainage, as we have seen. Even in many cases, many states and cities are there where storm water drainage does not exist. Even when they exist, they are basically what? Carrying large amount of plastic waste as such. So if they can carry 100 liters of water, they are only carrying 30-40% of the water, 30-40 liters. So remaining 60 liter will be seen in the form of excess water and will submerge the cities. Extreme rainfall events that we are witnessing in India also, or everywhere across the world, and can be linked with what phenomena? Global warming and climate change as such. Extreme rainfall, examples of the flood apart from Assam we are seeing in the Bangalore, Chennai, these cities, they are getting more frequent floods, especially during the monsoon season and all. So these are some of the factors responsible. Now what are the measures the government has taken? So first of all, embankments were created, 34,000 kilometers long embankment. Embankment is in the plains. I told you about a structure that naturally forms called as natural levee as such. Right. So every time when the flood occurs, river deposits sediment along the bank, and over hundreds and hundreds of years, this sediment that accumulates keep on rising up. As it keep on rising up in the height, it act like a what? Natural protective barrier. So next time when the flood happens, the water will have to rise significantly high. Then only it can cause flood in the surrounding area. Now the same natural levees are strengthened by the government to make it more robust, to make it more stronger, so that they do not collapse under the pressure of water. So that is what we call as embankment. So government has constructed 34,000 kilometers of the embankment along the river bank. To ensure that dam do not cause significant flood in the low-lying areas, Dam Safety Act 2021 was brought in. Also, this act ensures the dam which are very old, okay, which can anytime collapse or such, whose integrity or whose structure has become very weaker, they have to be what? Destroyed. Again, new dam has to be created. Reservoir rule curves related to same itself. Interbasin water transfer. Okay, we also have talked about the project called as Kain-Betwa River Interlinking Project. So how can you ensure that flood do not take place along the basin of Kain River? Whenever you have excess water, surplus water, if you have connectivity, you can transport this water to where? Betwa. So neither this river will have excess water nor this river will have excess water. So interbasin water transfer, example can be Kain-Betwa River Interlinkage. Through this also we can try to reduce the incidence of the flood, right? And then last obviously is the early warning we have to focus upon, because you can control flood to some extent, but you cannot completely remove the threat of the flood. So to protect the life, precious life from the flood-like conditions, what we have to work upon? Early warning system as such, right? Early warning system, what you can create early warning system, how can you create? So one example is in the mountains, because majority of rivers are coming from where? Mountainous area. So in mountainous areas, in the upland area, you should have sensors that would keep measuring the water level in the river. Whenever water level increases beyond a certain point, you give warning to the people in the low-lying valleys and all that. Okay, that flood can take place, you should evacuate as soon as possible. That is one example of early warning. Or use what structures? Satellites, okay, to look at how clouds are building up, how dense clouds are there, is there any possibility or probability of cloud burst, heavy rainfall or not. So these are some of the suggestions that can be implemented to ensure that flood management is being done properly. So that is the flood management measures. Next topic is related to the Sundarban border fencing. Okay, that is the name of topic. So Sundarban, we know deltaic areas you have. The government has decided, government means that for this security of the borders, which ministry is responsible? Ministry of Home Affairs, right? So MHA, Ministry of Home Affairs, it is planning to fence about 90 kilometers of Sundarban border. Yeah, Sundarban areas, we know that it is along the border of West Bengal and Bangladesh. Right? Again, same river. So we have seen that Ganga River splits into two branches. One branch flows in West Bengal by the name of which river? Hooghly. And other branch enters Bangladesh by the name of river Padma. Right, and this is then meeting the Brahmaputra, that is Jamuna river, and then they create delta, and Hooghly river also create delta. So what we see in the coastal areas, delta of Hooghly river, Padma river, right, and this Jamuna river, they have merged together, and this is the largest delta in the world. That is also called as Ganga Brahmaputra delta as such. The part of Ganga Brahmaputra delta which lies in the West Bengal, along the West Bengal, what is called as Sundarban, because of Sundari tree, her tiara tree that is found. So 90 kilometer of areas which is along the border, MHA has planned to fence it. Yeah, that means make it impossible for anyone to illegally infiltrate or enter the border, enter or exit, both cases. So this would be done along the India-Bangladesh border in the West Bengal, as we have seen in the internal security that for both Indo-Pakistan border and Indo-Bangladesh border, which or force is responsible for securing it? BSF, yeah, that is a border security force. So to ensure that this fencing can be done, it is a BSF which is conducting the feasibility studies as such. Okay, and the feasibility study and the entire plan is with the purpose of strengthening the border security, right? Because not only that we fear illegal migration from the Bangladeshi side, Bangladesh border, but also there is a fear that you'll have or you can have the movement of insurgent groups or the members of insurgent groups from these areas and such. So they can pose a threat to the unity, integrity and security of India. That's why we are trying to planning to fence it. Now the challenges, what are the challenges of border management in this area? So if you have plain area, like we have seen, what you can do simply, you can put fence here, you can put pillars like this, and at every certain distance you put some border guards. So what will happen? They will ensure that no one is illegally infiltrating and crossing the border. This area is geographically challenging because this is not simple plain area or where you can see or topography is very easier to access or easier to see, because most of this area is covered with dense mangrove forest. Natural vegetation, we have discussed mangrove forest. Plus, what do we have? It is not a flat land. Entire area is kind of swampy areas, tidal swamp we can say. Creeks and marshes you have, right? Creeks means, like for example, if this is the land and this is the sea. Sometime along the land you have the channel. Small channels are there. Through this small channel, sea water enters toward the land. That channel through which sea water enters toward the land is what we call as creek. So multiple creeks here, because land is never like this, that you have complete land. You'll have multiple channels here. Riverine stretches, we have seen 3-4 rivers here. And that's why in this area, generally, when you talk about the border security, it is not done in the conventional manner like this, which we deploy everywhere else. The floating border outpost basically we have created, and also BSF have been provided. How would they do the patrolling? Because it is not possible to move by foot, okay, or vehicles and all that. So they are using patrolling boat in the riverine stretches. So through boat they keep on moving from one place to other place, looking for some illegal infiltrator and all that. Overall total length of the border, bit India and Bangladesh, we have seen that we have the longest border. Longest land border India has with which country? Bangladesh. Total length is 4,100 km. Within that, the longest border we have with which state? That would be West Bengal. So 2,216 km. Okay, that is the length of border. Almost half we can say. Half of India-Bangladesh border is between West Bengal and Bangladesh. This is to keep in mind. Now Sundarban is the area where you're trying to do the fencing. So some important facts if you look. So first of all, what do we find here? Largest mangrove forest. Right, mangrove forest we have referred in natural vegetation also by two different names. We also have referred it as what? Littoral forest, or we call it by what name? Swampy forest or swamp forest. So littoral, swamp, mangrove, all same. Ganga, Brahmaputra, Meghna delta, which ocean it is extended towards, sea extended toward, Bay of Bengal as such. In this delta which we have talked about, Ganga, Brahmaputra, Meghna, 40% lies where? In India, and 60% is lying in Bangladesh as such. But this area is also the region with densest population in the entire Asia. Over 12 million inhabitants you will see living in this region. So any decision that you take will have impact on the life of people. Now apart from the security perspective, Sundarban also is significant from the biodiversity perspective. Many animal species, plant species, okay, you can say fish species they hold. So if you look at the summary, the biodiversity, 84 different species of plant you will find in the Sundarban. Out of that, 26 is only which kind of plant? Mangrove plant, okay, like Hartiera we have seen. Total, how many number of animal species would you find here? So 453 animal species, and the most important one is which one? You have the Royal Bengal tiger as such, right? So Royal Bengal tiger, the most important flagship species of this area we can say. Apart from that, in riverine ecosystem, what would you find? Gangetic dolphin, okay, dolphin. Then in the estuary is where you have meeting between the sea water and river water, right? Like in the case of Narmada river, we have seen Narmada river does not form delta. What does it form? Estuary. Okay. Tapi river does not form delta, form estuary. So those areas where delta is non-existent, estuaries exist, and there in those systems, what would you find? Species of crocodile as such. And most importantly, olive ridley turtles also have been reported here. Okay, olive ridley turtles, if you remember, I told you in the case of Odisha, along the Odisha coast, you will find one of the largest nesting site of olive ridley turtles, okay, near the Ganjam coast, Rusikulya river and all that. So largest turtle species in the Indo-Pacific Ocean. So these are the significance of Sundarban from biodiversity perspective, and because of this region, it is important for us to conserve it. So it has been included as what? UNESCO World Heritage Site. Okay, we have many places in India which are included as the World Heritage Sites. So this is also one of them. And wetlands, it is also an example of wetland delta ecosystem. So how do we conserve, protect and preserve wetland? So we have Ramsar Convention. So Sundarban is also declared as what? The Ramsar site. So very important. It is a World Heritage Site declared by UNESCO as well as Ramsar site under Ramsar Convention. Plus it is a biosphere reserve, and it is the place where we also implementing which project? That is Project Tiger. In 1973, you would have studied maybe. 1973, we implemented Project Tiger with the purpose of ensuring the tiger population which was declining, that has to be prevented, and we also wanted to double the tiger population from that time. And thus, this entire area is declared as a biosphere reserve. It is also a national park. Plus, because it hosts large number of animal species, it has been declared as a wildlife sanctuary as well. So that is about the Sundarban conservation. The last topic is related to Puga Valley. Okay, this Puga Valley, I told you, I think, when we talk about volcanism, okay, Puga Valley is an example of this hot spring. Okay, term we have this hot spring. So Puga geothermal project, a very important project. It is the first geothermal project that we have commissioned in India. Right, that is why it is new. So India commissioned it first and deepest geothermal well, that is in the Puga Valley. Where is Puga Valley located? So answer would be Ladakh region, in the eastern part of Ladakh. And why we are commissioning this kind of project? Because we want to generate geothermal energy or electricity. And if we are able to generate electricity from the heat inside earth, we will not have to burn fossil fuels such as coal. If we do not burn coal, that means what it would promote or support? Carbon neutral Ladakh, will not emit carbon dioxide. Currently, it is a pilot project. So 1 megawatt of pilot power plant will be built here. That is why it is news. We are trying to harness the energy contained inside the earth to generate electricity as such. If you look at some of the important highlights of the project, so overall, the well that was drilled here was drilled to a depth of 1 kilometer. Okay, that is 1000 meters. An interesting fact is that the Puga Valley itself is located at a very high elevation. Okay, it is at how many feet? 40,000 feet, because it is Himalaya, Trans-Himalaya area. And the depth at which we have drilled the well, when we recorded temperature, at 400 meters, drilling is up 1000 meters. When we recorded temperature at 400 meters, what was the temperature in the Earth's crust? 135 degree Celsius and such. So this is very high temperature. Okay, imagine you send a cold water at this temperature. What would happen to it? It start boiling, and what will it generate? Steam. Steam is lighter. So you drill other hole, okay, and through this crack or gap, what will happen? Steam will rise. This steam, its power can be used to rotate the turbine, and through rotational turbine, what we can do? Generate generate high electricity as such. So this is not something that will disappear after some time. Okay, like for example, you compare solar energy. What is limitation? In night, you cannot generate electricity. Or when you talk about the wind energy, what is limitation? If wind speed falls below a certain level, it will not have enough power to rotate the wind turbine and all that. Here, the crust temperature would remain same, okay, no matter what. That's why what we're calling it. It will provide us potential to generate renewable energy 24/7, okay, day, night, all time. This entire project is being commissioned by ONGC, okay, Oil and Natural Gas Corporation, that is a public company of India, ONGC Energy Center, plus local Ladakh administration, okay, as it is union territory today. Now, if you talk about geothermal energy, what is geothermal energy? So simple, geo plus thermal. Geo means what? Earth. Thermal means heat energy. So the heat that we obtained from the Earth's interior, that is called as geothermal energy. It works in simple way. Okay, how do we obtain or how do we generate electricity? So I told you. Here what do we have? High temperature. So you drill a hole. Through this well, basically well we can say, through this well, what we pump? Cool water. You pump the cool water reaches this area where temperature is very high. And as cool water reaches this area, it would start to boil, it would start to convert into steam, and hot water will be there, it is lighter. So from this area, what you do, you let the steam and hot water come. And then it is passing through this structure where you have the powerhouse. Turbine is there, it is rotating, continuously generating electricity. Now the same water, hot water that has come here, gradually what will happen? If it spends time near the surface, it will cool down, right? Or you can put cooling tower also where you are having this wind turbine and all that. And again, the same water you are pumping. So it is kind of closed loop. Okay? The same water is being recycled continuously, and every time it is generating this electricity as such. So it is one of the very good source of renewable energy used for electricity generation, heating purposes, sources, deep reservoirs, hot springs we have discussed, and shallow ground as such. So that is how the geothermal energy, principle of geothermal energy works upon. Now India has significant geothermal potential. Estimated potential is that we can generate about 10,600 megawatt of this electricity from geothermal energy itself. That means it would be almost how much? 30% of our electricity demand. Okay, we can meet theoretically. It is not possible to dig well everywhere. Cost is very high, but theoretically, if you have to write, you can write. Understand, roughly 30% of our energy demand can be met by geothermal. Potential. Total 381 hot springs were identified by GSI, Geological Survey of India. 10 geothermal provinces is where these hot springs are distributed in. Okay, so these are the provinces. Like this one we are talking about. What we have seen, Puga. Yes, that is located here in Ladakh. Finally, you come further south, you come in Himachal Pradesh. What would you find? Manikaran, right? Apart from that, in Chhattisgarh, you have Tatapani, few places here. In Maharashtra, Jalgaon region, you will have. In West Bengal, Bakreshwar region, right? In the this Gujarat, Tuwa region and all, right? Here in the Rajasthan region, Sohana, Delhi, around that area. So overall, you can see northern part and central part of India, right? From the map itself, it is clear. Someone asks you, where would you find geothermal provinces in India? So in the north, in the Himalayan region, and then in the central part as such. Two major areas. Major sites we have discussed. So in the future, we might utilize or tap the potential of geothermal energy. Right? Also geothermal energy, like it is not because of magma. This also we have to keep in mind. We have discussed volcanism, where high amount of magma present inside earth can provide heating. Here geothermal heat is because of the collision between the rocks. Because what is going on here? Indian plate is colliding with Eurasian plate. So because of this, rocks are getting compressed. You compress the rocks gets heat up. Okay, so heated up. So that's why you have the high temperature here. So due to CC convergence, not because of magma. Very important fact to keep in mind. The energy or the high temperature is not because of magma presence. It is because of the friction between the rocks. It is because of the compression of the rock itself. So that's why we have hot springs. Now, to ensure that we are able to tap into this potential in future, in 2025, Government of India, especially under which ministry? Nodal ministry is Ministry of New and Renewable Energy as such. Ministry of New and Renewable Energy brought up national policy on geothermal energy, and that's under which we are developing these all wells and all. Global capacity, if we talk about 2024, it was not very high, 15.4 gigawatt only. So very limited. I think that if you compare all the different ways of electricity production, geothermal is having the least share or smallest share at least. So global capacity 15.4 gigawatt. Leaders, USA, Indonesia and Philippines. Okay, these countries are the leaders. Then few questions if you look with reference to flood management in India. Consider the following statement. Assam is highly flood prone because it lies in the Brahmaputra and Barak river basin. Dam Safety Act 2021 provides an institutional framework for the safety and operation of specified dam. Floodplain encroachment and wetland degradation increases flood intensity. Right, so this we have seen. Correct. Okay, Dam Safety Act provides an institutional framework for the safety and operation of specified dams. That is also correct. Floodplain encroachment and wetland degradation increases flood intensity. True or false? That is true, because this river will not have enough place to flow across. Then second is geothermal energy. India's first deep geothermal wells have been commissioned at which region? That is correct. Okay, 1 megawatt of Puga Valley. Geothermal energy is considered renewable because the Earth's internal heat is continuously replenished. True or false? That is true. Okay, no matter how much energy you take, it will be replenished. Ministry of New and Renewable Energy is the nodal ministry for implementing the national policy on geothermal energy 2025. This is also correct. Okay, because many times, because if you do not know this, which organization is responsible here? ONGC, okay, for the well. If you remember this, you would know that this organization is working under Ministry of Petroleum and Natural Gas. Okay, so you might think that this ministry is involved here, but no. This is under which ministry? New and Renewable Energy. So very important point to keep in mind from prelims perspective. Then, with reference to cotton sector in India, consider the following statement. India is the only country cultivating all 4 recognized cotton species. Okay, that we have seen is true. BT cotton was commercially introduced in India in 2002. India ranks first globally in cotton cultivation area and second in cotton production. Production as well as also in what? In the consumption, right? So again, what you can say, all the 3 statements are correct here as such. Last is about the GTI, Global Terrorism Index. GTI is published by Institute for Economics and Peace, right? That is correct. GTI measures terrorism using indicators such as incident, fatalities, injuries and hostages, okay, that we have seen to be correct. And India was ranked as the most affected country in Global Terrorism Index 2026. Okay, that is incorrect. Its rank was how much? 13. Okay, at first rank, which country was? Pakistan. Region wise, which region ranked first? That will be Sahel region. Okay, so what should be the correct answer? 1 and 2. Right, so that's all for this.